So in question 39, we're still looking at features of linear equations. This time we are looking to find the slope, the y-intercept, and some of the other information given a table. So if you're looking for the slope from a table, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. The first way is to see what's the change in the y, and then what's the change in the x. So looking at the pattern, I noticed that each of these go up by 6, so the y's are increasing by 6, and then each of these are going up by 2, so the x's are increasing by 2. When we find the slope, then we can say that the change in y is 6 and the change in x is 2, which reduces to a slope of 3. Sometimes that's tricky, and we can also just cover up part of the table. So we can go ahead and just look at it as if it was 2 points, the same thing we did in question 38. And we can say negative 12 minus negative 18. Remember, minus and negative becomes plus. And then 2 minus 0. When we do that, we end up getting 6 over 2, which is the same thing we got when we looked at the change in y over the change in x. So it also reduces to a slope of 3. And then in order to find the b value, remember that the value of b is the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is the value of y when x is 0. So we could actually just circle it right here on our table. But we can do the same thing we did on the previous question. We could also just think about it like 2 points, like we had before. We use those to find the slope, so we could take one of the points. Just going to take the top one here, plug in the y, the m, the x, and solve for b. And we'll get the same thing, that b is 18. And like I said before, it doesn't matter whether you pick the top point. You could choose any point from the table. When you plug it in, they're all going to give you negative 18 for b. And then just like before, the slope is the same, and the y-intercept is the opposite reciprocal, so we'll flip the fraction and then change the sign. We talked about the x-intercept and y-intercept when we looked at standard form, but we can look at it from a table as well. The x-intercept is the value of x when y is 0, so it's this one here. And then the y-intercept is the value of y when x is 0. And notice that that's the same point we identified as our b value, because b actually stands for the y-intercept.